Y'all ever had your spouse go out of town for a few days and you said out loud, like the words couldn't hurt you, I got this? That right there, that's the sound of a man requesting a lesson he did not schedule and did not study for. Welcome to the One Eye Podcast, where I tackle home care with one good eye, one confidence, and just enough supervision to stay on the insurance plan. I'm your host, Rock Pepe Lozano. Now, Susie, she was heading to San Antonio for a few days with her old classmate. Now, when a wife says that she's leaving town, there are two kinds of husbands. Well, there's the ones who get nervous, and then the ones who get loud. I chose loud. I stood there chest out like I was about to lead a wagon train across Nebraska. And I said, baby, don't you worry about a thing. I got this. And she gave me that look. Now, married folks know that look. It's the one where they don't argue. They just start reviewing the facts. Sharp utensils, multiple electrical appliances, a stove I've used only about 2 times since we got married, and a pantry full of snacks that only stays for later because she's here to police it. So she did what caretakers do. She handed me a list. Not a maybe list, a survival document highlighted, bold, and written like she was speaking to a man with one eye and a history of guessing. Now, most of y'all know I'm a man who lives his life with very few instructions. I consider lists intrusive, restrictive, a personal attack on my ability to figure it out. But I looked at her in the eye and promised I'd follow her schedule, keep the house together, and still visit Earl and still make my morning ritual at the coffee shop like a responsible citizen. And that ain't doubt. That's experience talking, plus a hopeful demeanor that the house would still be in a habitable condition when she got back. Now, Susie is one of those organized people, the kind that can plan a Wednesday with military precision. And as a hairdresser, well, she's got appointments, timing, and folks showing up early and showing up late. But in her brain, she lives in scheduling. She spent nearly a month heading in her things for Peppy to-do list. Why, heck, she cut it down from almost 8 pages front and back to a manageable 5 pages in size 16 font. Now, people, that's not a list. That's a large print prophecy. Parts of it were highlighted in red, and some were in bold, which in marriage language means this right here will be on the test. And she said, now, Pappy, if you got any questions, I'll have my cell phone. You call me. I looked at her and told her, honey, don't worry about it. I got it all under control. And that right there was my first mistake. Now, let me tell you something about that list. As I mentioned before, Susie's a very organized kind of woman. She just takes things into stride and puts everything one after another. That's how she runs her shop. That's how she runs her home. And to be honest with you, that's kind of how she helps me get through my day. Make sure that I do everything on the schedule. To me, I'm always thinking I did it. If it wasn't for Susie saying, Pappy, did you do this yet? Pappy, did you move that over there? Pappy, have you done this? Honestly, I don't know how I get anything done. But anyway, getting back to that list. So, Susie puts it on the counter. Says, Pappy, don't you dare lose this list. I said, honey, don't worry about it. I got it all taken care of. Well, over the next 2 days, I have no idea how many times I cleared off that counter. And in one of those clean-offs, well, yours truly probably threw that paper away. And so Susie's leaving with her friend down the road, and I'm just smiling at myself. I got this all figured out. I go back inside to see what's my first project here, I'm telling myself, and I looked down and I said, that list. where to go. I ain't in no way, shape, or form worried about a thing. Of course, I ain't got a very good memory. But anyway, I just sit there and I just like, okay, well, let's see. Well, need some sweeping done. Well, I'll just start with that. So I swept the floor. Maybe some vacuuming. I vacuumed the floor. And so I just went about my work and just kept on doing what I thought was needing to be done. And at some point, some things started to come back to my memory. And it all started with the plants. Now, we got to talk about these plants because apparently nobody mentioned this ahead of time. Plants are individuals. They got preferences, boundaries, attitudes, and I treated them like a group project. Everybody gets the same. Next thing I know, one's looking like it's drowning. One's looks like it ain't had water since the Clinton administration. And one of them, I'm pretty sure, was calling somebody. Now I'm standing there with a watering can like a confused firefighter, inspecting leaves, trying to remember if Susie said half a cup every other day or don't touch that one. Plants don't forgive. They don't fuss. They just quietly die and wait for your wife to get home so they can tell on you without words. So I did what any reasonable man would do. I stopped watering them all together. Now my thought may be that they needed time to think about what they did, because it couldn't have been me. It had to be something that they were just not getting in tune with me. Maybe they were trying to get used to me, but you know what? I wasn't going to take that chance. And my belief is that we treat every one of them the same. And so, that was my decision. I just stopped watering them all together. Now the dishwasher, well, let me tell you about that. Let's talk about that dishwasher because I truly believe this was going to be my moment. Now I've seen Susie use it. I've heard it run. And in my mind, I knew that machine. You open it up, you put dishes in it, you close it. Well, no, sir. So it turns out that there's rules. Top rack rules, bottom rack rules, angle of placement rules. Unwritten laws passed down through generations of women who have watched men load it like it's a trash bin with a drawer. Now, I loaded it with confidence. You know, like plates sideways, cups stacking, utensils just vibing. Shut it, hit start, and walked away, feeling like I accomplished something. Feeling like, look at me, I'm running appliances. Well, an hour later, I opened it up, and I'm pretty sure I made soup. Water was everywhere. Still food on everything. One spoon, well, it was floating like it gave up. And that dishwasher, well, it wasn't broken. It was disappointed, like a neighbor peeping through the wood blinds. And that's when I realized I hadn't used the dishwasher. I had tested my marriage. Now, before I go any further, if you ever been left alone for a few days and realized real quick that you were not as prepared as you thought, why don't you do me a favor and go ahead and like and subscribe and follow? Because around here, we learn the hard way, together. Now, during my nightly check-in with my wife, I was asked by Susie to go to the grocery store. Now, by some miracle, Susie still hadn't asked me if I was sticking to her work list, which meant there was two options as to her ignoring asking about me staying on task with her list. One, she was trying not to ruin her time with Evelyn with worrying about the condition of our home. Or two, she felt yours truly could be trusted to carry out the duties I had taken on without a care in the world. Well, I tend to go with the first option due to my history of my past attempts at a few other memorable responsibilities, well, that I may have fallen short on their proper completion of. Well, anyhow, so as Susie is asking me to take inventory of our refrigerator, cupboards, and cleaning supplies, she asked me to write down items that I would need on my trip to the grocery store. Well, I'm not sure if in the euphoria of her vacation or if she had forgotten who she was talking to, because I don't exactly have the best history with list or instructions. And although, since my time with the wobbly shelf incident, I have done somewhat better at looking over instructions, I was still in the infancy stages of following either directions or anything written or printed as far as instructions for yours truly. But with all the confidence I could muster, I took it as a challenge to possibly diminish the previous mistakes I had made on losing the work list, my struggle with the plants, and the dishwasher incident. I felt that this might be the one redeeming responsibility that I could do, that it would overpower all these other minor inconveniences I know yours truly would be answering for. Let's be honest, possibly for eternity. Now, this part right here, this is where my week stopped being a situation and started being a story I didn't want shared without my supervision. Because at this point, I knew I was in trouble, but I did the responsible thing. I mustered up what remaining confidence I had left and went to the grocery store. Because apparently, well, as you all know, I don't learn. Now, after sitting in the parking lot a few moments, I took a deep breath in and walked into that grocery store, confident, chest out, list in hand. And by list, I mean a folded up piece of paper that knew I wasn't fully committed to it. Now, if you've ever seen me walking through an Ace Hardware store or a Menards, well, then my fellow patriots and DIY followers, you know I tend to discard my list and start buying things by their visual appeal to me. Thus, I had this strong feeling that my rumbling stomach would steer me in an altered direction as well. Here's the thing, though. I don't mind grocery shopping. I just don't believe it should involve decisions or judgment or math. So I got what I thought we needed, plus a few items I wanted, and tossed in one or two things that, well, they felt responsible at the time when I stopped to try them out, when someone stopped me at those end-of-the-aisle display booths to try out their products. Now, you know, like those chocolate-covered meatballs or some wild-name cleaning product that was guaranteed to remove any stain. Well, these products are just too amazing to pass up. And after filling my cart and making at least 4 rounds around the entire store, I chose the self-checkout because I thought, well, this will save time. And that was my second mistake. Now, I don't know who designed them things, but they don't like hesitation. It starts real polite like, please place item in the bagging area, in which I do, gently, like a man who wants no trouble. Then it said, unexpected item in the bagging area. Now listen, ain't nothing unexpected about an item I just scanned. That's not unexpected, that's present. Then it repeated itself, slower and louder, like I might benefit from public shame. Well, people started looking, not helping, just witnessing. And I'm sweating, my palms slipping off the scanner, and the machine starts blinking like it's about to alert the authorities. Then an employee came over, not to fix it, but to observe my failure. That kid reset the machine, looked me dead in the eye, and walked off like this wasn't his first time seeing a grown man lose confidence near the produce section. And as I was loading the car, I had a realization I didn't ask for. Susie doesn't just go to the grocery store, she negotiates peace with it. Somewhere around day 3, well, I sat down in that quiet house. No reminders floating through the air. No, don't forget, coming from the other room, just quiet. And it hit me. I wasn't running the house. I was surviving it, and not with dignity. Susie didn't just live here. She holds this place together. I don't run this house. I just live here with permission. Now, I didn't burn the house down, but emotionally, well, I may have singed a few things. And I gained a whole new appreciation for the planning, the remembering, the invisible work, and the stuff that you don't notice until it just ain't getting done. And it turns out, loving someone also means realizing you probably couldn't replace them, no matter how confident you felt walking into Tuesday. And that's when I realized, man, do I miss Susie. That woman, she just completes every part of me. All right, before we go any further, it's time for Pappy's Comment Corner. This is where I grab one comment from a past episode and respond to it the only way I know how, out loud, with confidence and sometimes regret. Now, this week's comment comes from Samuel and Dorothy Hendricks of Indiana, who wrote, Pappy, we're huge fans of your show. My wife will pick a night as we're closing up our farmhouse after a long day of caring for our livestock and doing chores around the farm to tune into your show here in Indiana. And I have to ask, how do you get anything done without your wife reminding you? I mean, you'd think that after farming and caring for our Holsteins, I'd have a schedule down packed of those chores outside of farming. But I admit I still get her gentle reminders asking if I could please pick up my clothes off the bathroom floor after I come in and shower, or put down the seat after I take care of my business in the latrine. It seems she has to constantly remind me of these things and a few other household chores I tend to forget or put off as something I'll take care of tomorrow. How do you and Susie work this out between yourselves? Signed, Samuel and Dorothy Hendricks. Well, now, Samuel, my friend, I'm going to give you a honest answer, and I want you to brace yourself a little. I don't got a system. I got supervision. See, I used to think those reminders were what folks called nagging. Turns out that wasn't nagging at all. That was infrastructure. That was load-bearing communication. That was the thin line between a well-run home and me wandering around the house at 9 p.m. holding a trash bag like it's a mystery novel asking, now where in the world does this go out? And I'll tell you something else. The minute them reminders stop, oh, buddy, you start living like a raccoon with a checking account. Laundry? Optional. Toilet seat? Negotiable. Dirty clothes? Well, apparently they get legs now, 'cause they ain't moving themselves. And Susie, God bless her steady heart, she don't remind me because she enjoys it. She reminds me because she has seen what happens when she don't. We're talking dishes stacking up like Jenga tower of regret. We're talking me saying, I'll do it tomorrow, like tomorrow ain't already booked full of yesterday's promises. So here's what I've learned, Samuel. Those reminders from your bride, that ain't her correcting you. That's her caring enough to keep life running smooth for both of you. That's partnership. That's love. With a clipboard. And truth be told, if it wasn't for Susie, I'd be standing in the bathroom right now, looking at a towel on the floor, trying to decide if it's clean or just emotionally exhausted. So next time she reminds you to pick something up, don't hear it as a chore, hear it as a lifeline. Because without him, we'd all be out here missing appointments, forgetting trash day, and living one step away from a documentary titled Men Left Unsupervised. Thank you for your comment, and we all see you next week on Pappy's Comment Corner. Now, when Susie returned from her trip, she walked right in the back door. I greeted her like a man who had seen things. Well, she didn't ask how my week went. She walked straight to the plants first, paused, looked at me, and shook her head. Then looked towards the kitchen like she could hear the dishwasher's disappointment from the doorway. Then she said, real calm, "We need to talk." And I just looked at my sneakers and nodded, because for once in my life, I had read the room. Well, it's time for Pappy's Practical Corner. Now, today I want to break things down step by step so that you don't have to learn the hard way. And this week's lesson is how to take care of the house when the person who actually knows how is on vacation. Step 1, accept reality. Before they leave, say this sentence out loud. I will not remember everything. Say it with confidence. Say it with humility. Say it so the house hears you. Step 2, the list is not optional. That list they gave you, that ain't suggestions. That's architecture. It's for highlighted, bolded, or written in red. That's a trap for future you. Step 3, do not improvise. Do not think, I'm sure this will be fine. That sentence has never ended well for anyone holding a mop. If you don't know, call, text, FaceTime the room if you have to. Step 4, pick your battles. Everything does not need to be done. Plants might die. That's between them and God. Focus on trash, dishes, and not burning the house down. Step 5, clean before they get home. This is key. Not perfect, just hopeful. Because the question is not, did you survive? The question is, does it look like nothing happened? And final step, step 6, say thank you. When they get back, don't explain, don't defend, don't justify. Just say, I appreciate you, because now you know. And that's this week's Pappy's Practical Corner. And remember, Patriots and DIY followers, that no matter how much we think we've got things figured out, that list our spouses leave us, well, it's better to look at it as an instruction manual for beginners. Believe me, I know that now. Yes, sir. So this week we learned that, number 1, don't mistake reminders for nagging. Sometimes that's love keeping your life from falling apart. Number 2, the little things you forget today become the big messes you gotta fix tomorrow. And number 3, if someone cares enough to keep you on track, you might just be more blessed than you realize. Now, if today's episode made you smile or brought out a chuckle, then by all means share this episode with someone who could use a laugh today. They'll be forever grateful that you did. You know, my pappy used to tell me, when we learn to laugh, we learn to heal. And in the most amazing part of our week or day, someone hearing you laugh or seeing that smile might just be the cog in the wheel that gets it all started. And there is no higher service than passing on a better demeanor to others. Trust me. So, as always, remember to be kind to one another, if only because you can be. And we all can be always. Until then, take care of what's been entrusted to you. God bless the travel agents, the TSA agents, the boarding crews, flight attendants, and air traffic controllers who take on the role of moving passengers through to their destination. And I sincerely appreciate you assisting in bringing my Susie and her friend Evelyn home safely and on time. God bless the caretakers of our lives for taking on more than just their own duties, but making sure we complete our daily activities in a safe and functional way. Your task of taking us under your wing is not forgotten. Thank you. And God bless the United States of America. Happy out.